go.
Welcome back to Shadow Stories. It's been a minute. Actually been 3 years. I'm bringing back one of the greatest young ladies I know, Portia Polo, one of the best hoopers in Washington State. Portia, how's it going?
It's going good. Thank you for having me on this. I'm really excited. I'm excited to share my story. Let's like get into it, I
Awesome. Well,
guess.
I'm gonna be asking you some questions about your background within the Dominican Republic and being a role model and all the great stuff you do. So let's start it off. How old were you when you moved from the DR to the US?
So I was 7 years old. I just turned 7, and we actually initially moved to Eugene first, and then we came here to Washington.
Okay. What can you recall from like your early days in the DR and what it was like moving here and trying to adapt?
Yeah, I guess like one big thing that I recall is that in the DR, like we only went to private school because the education is just a little different out there. But they're also just like mainly centered around baseball. They're not basketball fans, they're just baseball fans and volleyball fans. And then when I came here, it was just like a different culture. It's like a lot calmer here. Out there, they're always partying, they're always dancing, always eating food, always loud and stuff on Fridays. But yeah, when I got here, it was just a lot more chill, a lot more quiet.
Yeah, with I mean baseball and volleyball being the big sports, what kind of got you into basketball?
I actually like that is such a good question because I myself don't even know. I just remember that when we were in Eugene, I kept asking my dad if he could take me shooting, and I kept bugging him to take me shooting. And then when he finally took me, like I was using all my force to push up that ball, taking any shots, but I was still enjoying myself and I was having so much fun. And like it was mainly because I was just playing for the pure love of the game.
Has anyone in your family played basketball? Or is it like just strictly you?
I mean, my dad played, but not at my level. So just like school, high school. But
Okay.
yeah.
Um, at what point did you move from Eugene up here and why'd the family do that?
So I guess we moved when I was in second grade. So I think like we only stayed there for a year, so I was 8 probably. But we decided to move up here to Washington because most of my family's up here. So just being closer to them.
So, I mean, growing up as a young girl, I mean, what were the basketball opportunities like, up here in Washington?
So yeah, so like I guess just to build off of what like I said is that in the Dominican Republic, like I never thought about basketball. It was always baseball, volleyball, right? And then when I moved here, it was just like a different sports culture. They had everything. And to be honest, like my story, like I started off playing every sport. I even did taekwondo. Like I don't know how I got into basketball, but once I got into basketball, like here the opportunities were a lot different because they actually had select and then they had club. And then that's just kind of like what got me into it. I played select and I played against a couple of girls. And then they were like, yo, like you should come try out for this club team. That was TOH. And
Hmm.
so I went and tried out. And that's where I just started like actually falling in love with the game and like wanted to make it a goal to continue playing and continue playing at a high level, you know?
Yeah. Um, were you watching basketball when you came here? I mean, watching NBA, WNBA, any of that?
No, I was a little kid. I was still watching Minions. I was obsessed with the movie Avatar, the blue people. So I wasn't even like into sports like that. I was like just a kid watching random movies, replaying the same movies.
I gotta ask then. I mean, are your role models like the Avatar people, or like you got actual role models?
Bro, I'm saying like I don't know, like growing up, like I don't know, I never really got into it until like one after I tore my ACL. Like growing up, like basketball is just like I used to play every weekend. We used to get a shirt every single time we won. And like my role models was just like literally I genuinely did not have any. Like I was just watching, bro, I don't even know. I don't even have any.
Well, then, at what point
No.
were you like actually taking basketball seriously, and like why did you start taking it seriously?
Well, so after I tore my ACL in eighth grade. It kind of just like, you know how I'd been playing basketball for a while before that. And then when I tore my ACL, that was just kind of the moment where I like actually got time for myself. But it was like it was weird because I've been practicing like every single day. And so just like taking a 10-month break from playing basketball was just like kind of like, dang, like this is something I actually want to get back to. And then like gave me that realization, like that one, like I am more than an athlete, but two, like I love this game so much that I want to be able to come back to it. I want to be able to be better and like actually achieve my goals of playing at the next level. So like ACL, that's when I had it in my head that like I need to get back on the court. I need to be better. I need to like I just need to complete my dream.
Well, I know you're still young in your journey, but I mean, how would you describe how basketball has treated you so far?
Um, I think basketball has given me so many opportunities and it's given me like basically a family. Like basketball has treated me so good and I think, like just being able to play with my teammates, being able to play with my sisters, it's like made me who I am right now. Like I always think about it like what if I stopped playing basketball after I tore my ACL? Like I feel like I wouldn't be who I am right now.
Mhm.
Like I wouldn't be outgoing. I wouldn't be like some energetic person. I wouldn't be, I don't know. I just like I'm saying like basketball like it gave me everything, I feel like.
I mean, going off that, what are like some of the opportunities you said that like basketball has helped give you?
Yeah, so I got to play for the national team. Like I got to represent the Dominican Republic, so I got to play for the UAT national team. Um and low key, I mean, um I did have connections, but low key like basketball like got me that. And I guess like I got to play for Champions of Change, which is this fundraiser for like people to come and watch their old Seattle Legends,
Mhm.
like football players. So
Yeah.
it got me that too. But I guess like with opportunities, it's given me the opportunity to learn lifelong skills.
Hmm.
You know, like it's taught me how to balance my schedule, how to like use my time accordingly, right? But it's also taught me how to be patient. It's taught me how to be responsible, like all that.
Hmm. I know you said like you tear your ACL, and obviously that's a tough thing to go through. But I mean, are there any moments where it's like you had a tough moment and you're thinking, man, like is basketball really for me? Or like it kind of changed your perspective or anything that went on where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing next.
Yeah, I feel like the thing is sometimes after a bad game, I'd be thinking like, like is this something I really want to do when I'm older? Like is this something that I actually want to put all my time and effort in? But I have to just always remember that one bad game doesn't define like who I am as a player. And so like I don't know, like I never really thought of not playing basketball. Like that's always been my goal to play. And so I always try and keep those thoughts out of my head because, like I always say I'm gonna quit, but I keep showing up, I keep showing up, I keep going because that's just something that I don't want to give up. I don't want
Mhm. What's like making you kind of persevere then? I mean, you have a tough game. What is making you like bounce back? What's going on in that mind of yours?
Man, I feel like the biggest thing I just have to remember. So back to the moment of when I was a little girl, like in Eugene, shooting with my dad and him rebounding for me. Like I always think back to that moment because that was like the first time I went shooting, but it was also because I was playing for the love of the game. So every single time I have a bad game, a bad practice, or like something going on with basketball that didn't go my way, right? I always think of that one moment, and I always think of that little girl that like was playing with that big smile on her face, playing for the love of the game.
Yeah, I mean, going off that, I mean, obviously you're set in stone. Like you want to do this. These are your goals. How do you balance like all that fierce competition, all that with like the love of basketball and not trying to lose that spark?
Man, I feel like I have so much passion for the game. Like you can see it on the court. Every single time my teammate gets an and one, I'm yelling. I'm like, the thing is, like, I don't think I balance being fierce and being competitive and like that love for the game I feel like I'd mix it in together and like I show my passion, I show my heart for the game, and like I don't know, I get into it and I show my energy.
I mean, so I know you talked about like that U18 DR team, and I mean, what made you pursue it? What was it like traveling down there and representing your country?
It was definitely different basketball than what we experience here. Going down there, like outside of basketball, the experience was so much fun. Like the dance all the time, they joke around all the time, and it's just like a different kind of vibe than you would get here in the United States. But like out there, like they all appreciated me because I speak Spanish fluently and I understand it fluently. And they would tell me they appreciate me because I would be like one of the only girls that actually would seek out to talk to them and communicate with them in Spanish instead of them needing to like bring in the other girls and stuff. And so I was kind of that connecting person, and I got named co-captain of the team. And so I got to like one yell at them in English and yell at them in Spanish. But it was fun because I also got to room with a girl that just like a girl from the Dominican Republic. So I was actually really happy about that. On the court, I'd say like, we're playing against women. And so it was kind of like a little sneak peek of what college ball was going to be like. We're going to be playing against older women who are a lot more experienced. The three is going to be further. The game's going to be a lot more sped up and like kind of the sets that they had. So it was kind of a good little sneak peek of what college ball was going to be like.
I know you told me a bit yesterday, but it's like, what is it like going back there? I mean, you're playing USA basketball. You get to play select, you get to play club, you get to travel a country. Some of these girls don't have that opportunity. So what is it like to kind of go back there and see that?
I mean, like I appreciated it a lot. I was really happy and proud to be able to represent my country, right? And just to have that opportunity to be able to go back home, I guess, and just like see where I used to live, eat the food that I used to eat all the time. It was just like one of the greatest experiences because like with basketball, right? Not that many people get a chance to actually leave or go on vacation. And like I took this opportunity to go back home to the Dominican Republic, a little vacation, but also it was a business trip. So it was like an all-in-one good opportunity.
Mhm. And I know your mom's Filipino as well, so I gotta ask, was there any thought about the Philippines as well, or trying to sneak on the U.S. team or anything?
Yeah, the thing is like for me, I mean, I tell my mom this too, and I tell my dad this too. Like I consider myself more like Dominican than Filipina because one, I speak Spanish. I don't speak Tagalog, but two, we also used to live there. So like that's like I feel like more connected to that side of my culture, but it doesn't mean that like I would never play on the Filipino team, but like it's like I guess like I don't know. We just had way more connections out there in the Dominican Republic too to make it happen.
Mhm. And kind of going past basketball now, I know you told me in the past, like you have like your own like nonprofit or like donation thing that you go and do in the DR. So I want to know all about it. I want to know on record, what you got going on down there.
Started this like little fundraiser for shoes, old basketball shoes, old clothes, like anything, right? And we named it Love Basketball. I think it's Love Basketball and shoes. And so basically I would go to Pacific Course, the place where I trained, and I put a bin there and I was like on the sign I said, come bring old basketball shoes and like any old things that you want to donate, right? And so when they donated it, we collected it, we would take it to some shelters and um we take them to shelters and we take them to this old school, yeah, and we would donate it to them. But for the Dominican Republic, I just basically grabbed my old clothes and we came back and I brought them the clothes and the shoes.
What made you decide to do this type of stuff?
Well, okay, so I mean, me personally, I like giving back to the community, especially because I've gotten a lot of opportunities and I know that I've had a lot of blessings. Me personally, like I want to give back to the community as much as I can. Like even if that's community service, even if that's like donating them clothes, like I just want to give back to the community.
Mhm. And I know you're gunning for my job too. I saw your TV debut on Katie Hall, co-host, Girls on the Rise, all that. I mean, I want to know how you got that opportunity, why you wanted to pursue it, and what it's like, being famous on TV.
Yeah, man. Oh man. So actually that opportunity kind of started brewing and like all of this is like about connections, right? And so this opportunity that I got to be a junior co-host, it started way back like when I tore my ACL, I joined this program called Girls on the Rise, which is a program that teaches young women lifelong skills around leadership, self-advocacy. And so I'm part of this program and I'm part of it for 4 years now. And the founder, Katie Hall, she brought me on and she said, I'm going to start a talk show and I'm going to start and it's going to basically just talk about different experiences, but it's also going to talk about, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like teaching something to the older generations. And the first couple of episodes that she had was, women in sports and like why it's important to support women in sports and also like kind of like mental health in sports, right? And so she brings me on to kind of let me share my story because, well, I'm a woman and I play in sports. So it kind of like mixed in, right? And then after I had done and shot my first couple of segments, she asked me if I wanted to be a junior co-host. And it was kind of a spur of the moment, but I was like, yes, I'm down. And so that's how I got the Champions of Change game, but also, not only that, I got to interview Caitlin Clark at a Storm game. So it's given me a lot of good opportunities. And so her for like bringing me onto this and just letting me be a part of it.
That's what I'm saying, man. You're taking my job. Let me get a couple more years.
Yeah. Yeah. You wait. I mean, I'm gonna take your job. I'm gonna interview people. I'm gonna do some write-ups. You already know.
What does it mean for you to kind of be this young role model already? I mean, being on TV, having these young girls looking up to you.
I mean, it's also important, like while you're in the spotlight, there's a lot of people watching you, and so on and off the court too. So it's kind of important to just be careful with what you're doing, right? And so I always want to set a good example to younger people who may be watching me, who may have the same dream as me, right? I want to be able to make sure that they can look up to me as a, like I'm doing the right things, I'm working out, right? And like I just want them to kind of just I guess like take ideas from what I do to make my life better and make myself better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, so girls watching you, whether it's on basketball, whether it's on TV, what do you hope the lessons they're learning from you?
I hope that they learn to just always be a kind and good person and to always work hard. And if you're passionate about something, show that you're passionate about it. Don't be shy and just like let it all out, you know?
What have you enjoyed the most so far about kind of being in that spotlight, being the role model, being the big girl on campus?
Man, I guess like what I've enjoyed so much about it is that I get to share my story and I get to show younger girls who may look like me that I'm doing it so they can do it too. And like what I enjoy a lot about it is that like while I share my story, they can relate to me and they can see that, like anybody can do what I'm doing, not just like certain people.
Well, I know, like again, you were watching cartoons back in the day, but I mean, were there ever any like women or young ladies that you saw that were in your shoes now that you kind of were like, oh, I want to be like her, or like anyone like that back in the day?
Yeah. So I guess like for me, I mean, he was everybody's fan, but like for me, like when I was growing up, I always watched LeBron James, right? Like
Mhm.
basic, but I know whatever. But I used to get his shoes all the time, every single time a new pair came out. I'd be like, Mom, I need these. I used to wear his number 23. But also, the one funny thing about it is that when I played in Select, Newport Select, I'd have like random opponents that we would play against come up to me saying that I was mini LeBron James. And it's funny, yeah.
I don't know if I see that. I don't know. Maybe I don't
No,
know.
you should see me, bro. I was bully ball all the time. I genuinely was dunking on these little girls. But yeah,
Dunking on what, a 3 foot hoop?
yeah.
I mean, I know some of the stuff that you also do, but I want to know, like, you can go ahead and tell us what else are you doing volunteer wise, stuff that we may not see behind the scenes that you're proud of.
Yeah, I guess like um so people don't know this, but I took up a class um and it's called a peer coach. And basically I am part of this class to just kind of be a role model to kids with disabilities. And this class, like, I actually really enjoy going to it and preparing my materials for it. And this whole time, like, I thought I'd be teaching them something, but to be honest, like, I'm learning from them. I'm learning like how they think about things differently, and how they I don't know, but it's just like that's one thing. I'm a peer coach with kids with disabilities, but also like another leadership role that I'm part of is I'm ASB, spirit commissioner, and basically my role in that is that I bring the school spirit, and I'm just energetic around that. And yeah,
Well, I gotta ask. I mean, 4.0 GPA, volunteer, basketball player, referee. I don't even know. I could list on like 20, 30 different things if I had enough fingers. I mean, how do you balance it all?
it's like all about priorities. Like my mom, she like drills this in me, like you can have fun with friends. You can do all this like stuff if you want, but you have to have priorities. And so like one hard skill that I learned is that like, you know, to be like I want to be a high academic athlete. And so sometimes I would have to sacrifice wanting to hang out with friends or wanting to go play basketball, and like I would have to sacrifice like not going to practice just so I could study or just so I could do homework. And like that's like one thing that's like that I've learned is that you have to sacrifice things to like get, I guess, like the good outcome that you need. And so it's like all about priorities and sacrifices. So for me, like, man, I'd be prioritizing a lot of things, and I'd be sacrificing a lot of things. Like if I don't see my friends for a while, if I don't know, hang out with anybody for a while, it's because I'm sacrificing them to prioritize something else.
Obviously, I know you're trying to shoot for that ultimate goal, but I mean, is it tough being, in high school, being like a young lady to miss time with your friends, or not being able to shoot around and this and that, to focus on your future plans?
Yeah, it's really tough because um while you're playing basketball, you really just like you genuinely do not have any time for anything else. You're just basically at home in the gym, you're studying, and then you go back to the gym or something. It's like you never like have time to do anything. And so that is something that while I was growing up, I did sacrifice and I did miss. And it was kind of sad, but to be honest, like when you're losing your school friends, you're actually making friends like on the basketball court. So it's like it's kind of like not that bad of a situation to not be able to hang out with like friends outside of basketball.
And kind of shifting to like the landscape of basketball. I mean, how have you seen girls and women's basketball like change from when you first started shooting hoops in Oregon to where you're at now, talking to Caitlin Clark and all that?
I mean, the basketball world has definitely changed. And the thing is, like, now the game is getting a lot more viewers because of Caitlin Clark. And so, and it's actually, I say it's a good thing because we're just like, we're showing the world that she's not the only great player, but like we have all these amazing basketball players that have been playing for a while, and you just didn't give them the benefit of the doubt. So just seeing how much like the viewer increased or the viewers have increased is
Hmm.
is actually like it makes me happy because that's like one thing it was my biggest pet peeve in high school. Man, we were better than the boys. Our record was way better than the boys. And I'm going to say this right now. So, whoever's watching from my school, we were better than you guys. But we did not get as much viewers as the guys' team. And it's like, why do you sleep on us when we're literally playing the same game as the guys? But it's like, it's low key, we play it more exciting. Like the guys, they just dunk and they just do some crazy lobs. But the girls, like, we're like, I don't know, like we're fundamental, but sometimes it's like fun to watch
Hmm.
because we play together instead of like some one man game dunking here and there.
You're telling me you're not dunking yet?
Not yet. I mean, my knees are a little bit bad right now, but just wait.
Hey, for everyone who don't know, Portia is what, 5'6",
I'm
five
actually
seven on
six
a good
foot.
day?
I'm 6 foot. I'm 6 foot.
6 foot standing on your money.
6 foot six, standing on my money. But yeah, I'm
Um,
5'7". I'm 5'5". I'm 5'6" on a good day. 5'5" really. But
what at 5'6"?
yeah, let's just say 5'6". But I got power. I'm telling you, I'm little, but I got power.
Well, I want to know, I mean, whether you make it big or you make it just a college or whatever, how do you think you can help grow women's basketball, whether it's a local thing, a nationwide thing, etc.?
See, I love that question because like one of my goals after at least completing my education, right? And getting a job, all that, and settling down, one of my biggest goals is to just kind of give back to the basketball community. And like, I want to be able to just support girls in a different way, I guess. Like, I want to, like, what I notice is that a lot of young girls, they stop playing basketball like during like one when they get their period and two when the competition gets too hard. And so what I want to see is just like more support for the younger girls. Like if you get to them young and you support them and you push them through like their then they'll continue to play basketball and like I think that's also something that we really need. It's just an increase in like women playing sports, girls playing sports. And so I think like one that's what's gonna help, I guess, like getting to the younger girls, but also another thing I can do is just continuing to tell my male friends or like all my friends to continue to watch women's sports and to support them and just like kind of grow that in that way, I guess.
Well, let me ask you, do you have any ideas set yet or any in the back of your mind where it's like, oh, like this is how I think I can help it out, or this is like how I'm gonna try to give back in the future, or something you'd want to see.
Yeah, I guess like something I would want to see, um, like I don't know. To be honest, what I would do is just like again, I would educate girls, and I would like I don't know. I just like educate and empower and give confidence to the younger girls, so that when they get older, they continue to play their sport, right? But also just like on the outside aspect of it, like one thing that in my power that I can do is just continue telling people to watch women's sports is to continue spreading like how amazing women's sports are. And like that's like minor things I can do, but thinking of bigger picture, like I don't know, I haven't really thought about that.
Hey, that's 20, 30 years down the road. Don't be thinking about that yet.
Yeah,
Think about
yeah.
what you're having for dinner tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, was there anything you like this when you were younger? I mean, kind of going back, was there anything where it's like, um, you saw people trying to grow the sport for women? No, I'm not even saying just basketball, but just in general.
I don't know. I mean, I think to be honest, like the way I see it, if you are a coach who's coaching like young girls and who's like continuing to coach Like I think that's a way that like you see people growing the game because like these coaches they're supporting us, they're teaching us, they're being our mentors, right? And so like I always say thank you to the good mentors that I had that helped me continue playing the game. And so I think it's like it always comes down to like the coaches that help their players continue to play basketball, not give up on their dreams and stuff.
I only got a couple questions left. I mean, senior year is coming up. You got any next steps in mind, or what are you thinking about?
Yeah, so man, right now, like school wise, it's like a little tricky. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I think next steps for me is just to continue to get my education, but also, yeah, so let me tell you a little bit. So sophomore year, I got second team all Kinko. And then my junior year, this last year, I got first team. And so this year I need to go for more. And that's like my goal. My goal was to get to state, at least play one game in state, but individually like I want to be able to average consistently like at least 27 points per game. Like I know I can do that. I want to consistently average like at least 6 rebounds per game. And these are things like these are goals that I know I can accomplish. And so like I think like just next steps right now is to get in the gym, work a lot harder than I did last year, get a lot better than I was last year.
My final question is, what's the long-term goal in life? I know obviously you talk about you wanna help out improving the game, but you coming from my job or you got something else in mind?
Nah, you can keep your job. I'm about to be a nurse, man. All my life I thought about being a nurse or a physician assistant, and that's mainly because like as an athlete you were gonna have a handful of visits to the ER room. So right, so I just like been surrounded. It's just something that I've always wanted to be a nurse or a physician assistant. So long term, that's where I see myself being a nurse. Or yeah.
My final question is if you got any final thoughts or anything I missed, any stories you wanna throw in here at the end?
I mean, man, I just like I guess to close it out, I just want to let people know to just always stay humble first and that, like I know it's cliche, but actually genuinely trust the process. But also like I learned it from this one guy. He told me his name is Zach. He says, trust the purpose and then the process in between is gonna happen. But if you trust like the end goal and you trust getting there, then the process just is gonna like come following it. I think that's what he said. I don't know. I messed that one up, but you already know. You already
It
know.
sounds good enough.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have for you, Portia. So I appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you back out on the court and have a great senior year.
Yo, thank you so much, Nick.